We often start by setting too high expectations. We set unrealistic goals in time frames that are unachievable. What then starts to happen is we start to become self-critical as we falter. So as we become less successful in our attempts, we start to beat ourselves up. We might find ourselves saying things like, who am I kidding? Why could I do this? I can never do this. So we begin to believe those thoughts. And as we begin to believe those thoughts, and we begin to believe that it's not possible, that's when we start to give up on the things that we set out in the first place. So setting too high expectations and unrealistic goals actually ends up being self-defeating. The other thing is that at the beginning of the year is the anticipation, the excitement, it's a new year, everybody's talking about Christmas and everybody's talking about those exciting new things that are happening. As that starts to give way to the routine of everyday life, it starts to become much more difficult to stick to things that we want to change. As a result, other people around us start to give up on their goals. We see them giving up on their goals, we want to give up on ours. It suddenly starts being less easy to keep this going. The other thing that can start to happen is we start to get hooked up in our thoughts. We start to believe what our thoughts are telling us. We start to believe that, why did we even think this was possible? Does it matter anyway? And all of those things actually end up demotivating us. First of all, set yourself goals. Be realistic about your goals. Make sure that you set specific, small goals on the way to this bigger goal that you want to achieve. Make sure that you set some time frames on those things, because otherwise they're going to be really difficult to be able to know whether or not you've actually succeeded. The other thing that's going to be really important is to think about your emotions. How are you going to cope with your emotions during this time when you're trying to change something? Quite often the things that we try to change are the things which we've previously used to cope with emotions. So whether that be food, whether that be exercise, whatever it might be, we're suddenly going to try and change some of these things. So what are you going to do when some of those emotions come up for you? Find some alternative ways of coping. The other thing that's going to be really important is to make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment that if you do go off track, you'll get back on track straight away. Maybe even consider inviting people in, telling people about this commitment that you're making so that they can help you and remind you of your reasons if you do start to falter. The other thing is maybe think about some of the old strategies that have worked for you in the past. If you managed to make a successful change in the past, what did you do? How did you do it? Try to bring some of those new strategies in to help you with this new target. But perhaps think about some rewards. Set yourself small rewards along the way to your goal so that you actually feel like you're achieving something along the way. The other thing that you want to do is think of ways of tackling some of those self-critical thoughts. Self-critical thoughts will come up. Expect them. When they do come up, perhaps imagine that they are perhaps junk email. The junk email that comes through, and rather than reading every email and treating every thought as if it was a fact, file it away. Carry on with what you were doing. Finally, think about setting some reminders for yourself, some visual reminders, some auditory reminders, so that every now and then it pops up on your computer, or there's a reminder on your phone, just telling you why you're doing this. But beware. Try to make sure that those reminders don't contain things about what you don't want, much more about what you do want. Before you give up, think about why this was important to you in the first place. Write it down. Will it still be important to you in 10, 20 or 30 years' time? Is it really still important in this moment? When you made this resolution, what was the underlying reason for it? If you decided that what you wanted to do was to lose weight, why did you want to lose weight? Was it because you wanted to be healthier? Was it because you wanted to have more energy? Make sure that you're really clear. This helps you to identify what your values are, and this will help you to keep going with your resolution along the way. The other thing to identify is what's getting in your way. So you know what your values are, and you've got a realistic goal, but something's still getting in your way. Is it that you're trying to avoid certain uncomfortable feelings? Is it you're having certain thoughts that are sending you off track? Maybe some self-criticism going on? Perhaps you're fearful. If that is the case, try to focus on what you do want. Try to think of ways that you can come up with that perhaps help you to cope differently with some of those emotions. Finally, once you've identified your values and you've identified your obstacles and you've set some realistic goals, start to think about this as a journey. Quite often when we set ourselves up for New Year's resolutions, we're looking to get to the end point. Well, when we're going on a journey, the journey is all part of the whole experience. Consider this. You can either spend this journey checking your watch, finding how long it's going to take you to get there, or you can enjoy the experience and really notice along the way, see your pitfalls, see your hurdles as just part of the journey and part of the experience of getting there. Thank you for watching. I'm Lisa Wilson at City Psychology Group. You can email us any questions at asktheexpert@citypsychology.com.